This thing started here, shall we?
Welcome back to the channel. Guys, I hope you're having a great evening. So, guys, this might sound kind of clickbaitish. This has been a rumor that's been going around. Henry Cavill in the Superman film, right? It's coming up. That he could, in fact, be Ultraman, right? Now, Ultraman, this is supposedly a clone of Superman, right, from the comics. And typically, for the people who are hoping that this is Henry Cavill, right, big fans of the Snyderverse, a lot of people know I'm not a big fan of the Snyderverse, and that, I wouldn't particularly want any mixing of the Snyderverse with what James Gunn's doing with DC. But, it all depends on how it's done, right? And with Henry Cavill as Ultraman, I would be on board for something like that, right? The idea of the Henry Cavill playing a variant of Superman or something like that, I have no problem with that idea. But the direction that James Gunn's taken with going with a different actor to be Superman, I support that. I like what I'm seeing so far with David Cornsweet. Now, a lot of people are saying, stop the rumor, it's clickbait, stop it, this couldn't be happening. And they might be correct, right? They might be right, 100% right. This is a rumor. I haven't seen any solid concrete evidence as of yet that this could be remotely true, right? But as people are talking about it, I'm just going to give some opinions about it. So the number one point being that if Ultraman is Superman, right, or is this clone of Superman, but it's played by Henry Cavill, right, then how is it that Ultraman would be taller than David Cornsweet, Superman, right? Because Henry Cavill is only Henry Cavill would be probably the shortest, I think, Superman in history on the silver screen, right? On the silver screen. Now, on television, that may not be the case, but on the silver screen, I think that him being around 6'1", 6'2", I think, which Henry Cavill's height is, he would be the shortest Superman in history. I believe Christopher Reeve was around 6'4". I believe Cornsweet is like 6'5". Brandon Routh, I'm not sure how tall he was, but he was quite, I'm pretty sure he probably was 6'3" and up, right? So the Superman role is played by tall people, right? And, in the Snyderverse, what happened is that Ben Affleck playing Batman, Ben Affleck was actually a lot taller than Henry Cavill as well. I think Ben Affleck might be 6'3", 6'4". But what I find interesting about them saying, well, it couldn't be Henry Cavill, Ultraman clearly looks taller than Henry Cavill. He looks taller than David Cornsweet, which means that he would probably be over 6'5", right? But here's what I find interesting. If you look at this shot, it's got me thinking, are there different people in the Ultraman suit at different times, right? Because here, and I'm assuming this is Ultraman. It looks like him. He got the goggles on and such. If you look at this picture, clearly looks like David Cornsweet is taller, right, than Ultraman. So could it be just camera angles and it's really that doesn't really have any bearings on it, that it could be a a person playing Ultraman that's actually shorter than David Cornsweet. Could be, could be. So that's the first point that, maybe even if, camera angles and such, there are many actors who've appeared to be taller than, so I don't think that would necessarily rule out that it couldn't be Henry Cavill. Point two would be that James Gunn is allowing people from that old universe to play alternate characters, right? So, of course, that's not limited to Jason Momoa, who's playing Lobo, John Cena, who's playing Peacemaker, right? That's all from the old DCU, right? And if this rumor were true, it would be Henry Cavill playing Ultraman, but that would be acceptable because Henry Cavill would not be a Superman that exists from the Snyderverse in this universe, right? Which would, perfectly be fine. That would be no different than what they're doing with Robert Downey Jr., who's Iron Man, now playing Doctor Doom, right? And many of those things, right? So that wouldn't necessarily be. Also, there isn't a great division between James Gunn and Zack Snyder, right? As I say, they work together. There is no, nothing written in stone that he won't use any of the actors, especially if he's casting them as someone else, right? That won't disrupt anything what's going on with the DCU, right? So that would be point two, right? That, you could have that. Here's point three. With the great division that's happened with the Snyderverse, what some people feel to be an abrupt change in a very short period of time of the DCU as such, right? In order to kind of bridge the Snyderverse fans, right, which is a valid, huge fan base, right? Having some of their characters involved in some aspect, some way, I think kind of creates an olive branch. And I think it's a good idea to do that, right? I don't think that would be the worst idea to be able to bridge those Snyderverse fans, in a way where, because, you got some diehard Snyderverse people who are just very upset about what's happened with the DCU and James Gunn taking over, right? I think it would be a good gesture, and I think it would be a not the worst idea if you did have Henry Cavill in some aspect of this universe, right? Especially with all the variants and various things that happen. I think that would not be a bad idea at all, right? Yeah, and I think that could work very well, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Like I said, looking back at some of what was happening with the Snyderverse, and when I looked at it, kind of again, there were a lot more I could appreciate, about the Snyderverse as a whole, right? So there were some things that worked, as I had been saying a lot. How the Snyderverse Superman character worked, it just wasn't the one for me. I'm a lot more enthused to see where James Gunn takes his version of Superman, right? I'm already liking it a great deal, right? And there's a lot of great things happening. But before I get out of here, let me just bring this up. The second movie of the DCU has officially began. And that would be Millie Alcock playing Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, right? Based on the story that is a very much so dark vengeance-based story, right? With the adventures of Supergirl before she arrives on Earth, right? If they're going to follow that direction. But done by what will be a great actress, Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, who I think is going to do a great job. And it's just going to be interesting to see the direction that this film goes in. It's going to be the second film out building up the DCU. If you don't count, Creature Commandos and such like that, which a lot of people don't because it's an animated series. But a very good one, right? A very good one, right? Whether it's included in that or not, it was a very good series, and so I'm on board either way. But the filming has began, right? Officially began. So the DCU James Gunn version has kicked off, right? And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Now, if you are from the Snyderverse and you kind of like that dark toned version of Superman lore, well, you might get some of that with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is going to feature this vengeance story if it follows like the comics, right? And so that's going to be very interesting to watch. If anybody could pull it off, I think Millie Alcock, she's going to do a good job of bringing this Supergirl. It's going to be a Supergirl like we've never seen before, because the only attempted version of Supergirl to the silver screen was the 1984 Supergirl, which was unfortunately a flop. Christopher Reeve wasn't in it. I think he could have saved it if he was. And she does mention him, right? But it just, this will be something totally next level of what we can expect to see in Supergirl. But, I'm interested in it because I'm big on the Superman lore. Jason Momoa is going to be in it, and there's a lot of opportunity with her traveling the galaxy before she gets to Earth. There's a lot of things that James Gunn can do with this film. So it's going to be coming out, I believe, in about a year after Superman comes out in 2026, I think around the same time. I think around July or June or something like that of 2026. And that's going to be all pretty cool stuff. But that's all I want to say in this video, guys. If you like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell at the top so you can get the latest information as it becomes available to us. That's all I want to say. Till next time, take care of yourselves and each other.